PSG are absolutely scarily good right now. I mean, they came into the Club World Cup as the favourites, being, of course, the champions of Europe after dominating the Champions League final 5-0 against Inter Milan. They've demolished Real Madrid, the team that have the most success in the history of European football, 4-0 in the semi-finals, and I really feel for Chelsea now. They've done really well to make it to the Club World Cup final, but they are going to be facing an absolute monster in the form of Paris Saint-Germain. Chelsea's squad very much has a lot of potential, and they're playing pretty good right now, but PSG are here and now. They got a lot of young players in there too to improve, but they got some more experienced heads in there as well that are really, really making a difference. I mean, they were absolutely on fire against Real Madrid. And I said after PSG won the Champions League final, we could well be heading to a new era of football, one that is dominated, in Europe at least, by PSG. But it looks as though they may well set their sights on world domination as well, as they could be, and probably will be, the world champions in this new Club World Cup format for the first time in less than a week's time. It really, really looks pretty much inevitable at this point. But just how good are they? And how worrying is it for Real Madrid, of course? Because let's not forget, they are coming off of not the best campaign, where Carlo Ancelotti, his powers kind of faded a little bit. He's gone to Brazil now. He's just been arrested as well, but that's a whole nother story for a different kind of video probably at some point. But yeah, he's left the club now after years and years away, and they've got Xabi Alonso in, who of course, you know, did an amazing job for Bayer Leverkusen, but we know what the Madridistas are like. They don't really give their managers much time. This is a fan base, of course, that booed the likes of Karim Benzema and Cristiano Ronaldo over the years when they were in their ranks. So they have very, very high standards, it's fair to say. But let's have a look what's happened here, guys. Got a full article going over a lot of the action and what this basically means on thefootballchronicle.com as always. So let's dive in. So it's fair to say that PSG right now look absolutely unbeatable. The French champions led by 3 goals in the opening 24 minutes in their 4-0 victory against Real Madrid, courtesy of a brace from Fabian Ruiz and a strike as well from Ousmane Dembele. Gonzalo Ramos added a 4th late on in this game, but by then it was pretty much done. And it's their 3rd straight shutout win over European heavyweights, having already put 4 past Atletico Madrid and 2 past Bayern Munich earlier in the competition. And in fact, they've pretty much been perfect in this Club World Cup. The only exception to that is when they came up against Botafogo, the Brazilian giants. But aside from that, they've been absolutely bossing the Club World Cup so far. And they're going to head into Sunday's final as the heavy favourite. 18 goals conceded in their last 5 knockout games with 0 conceded. Chelsea very much have an uphill struggle. Andros Townsend, you may remember from his time with England, Crystal Palace, Luton Town, Tottenham Hotspur, among others. He has said that Luis Enrique has, quote, created a monster. And Gareth Bale, the Real Madrid legend, of course, said very young, relentless, and want to embarrass teams. And they're absolutely doing that. And if they manage to win the Club World Cup, that will be a quintuple, 5 trophies this season, if you count this as obviously the 2024-5 season. They've won Ligue 1 in France. They've also won the French Cup, the Trophée des Champions, obviously the French equivalent of the Community Shield here in England, and also the Champions League. And that would be added to by the Club World Cup if they manage to do it. Scary. And Enrique is a serial winner when it comes to this. This is already his 2nd treble, if not better, in his managerial career so far. And of course, we can't talk about PSG against Real Madrid without talking about Kylian Mbappe. And now I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, PSG are better without Mbappe. And I know what people would say with that. It's like when people said that Spurs were better without Harry Kane. Look how that worked out eventually. You know, he's a quality player, but clearly he's moved at the wrong time. Maybe the fact that he's moved and, you know, freed up all those wages and everything like that has actually been a good thing for PSG. They've been able to invest that money elsewhere, although of course they're not short of cash or the Qatari state-owned club. But that attack of PSG is absolutely scary, even without Mbappe, Dembele, Doué and Kvaratskhelia. It's just an absolutely frightening trio. And then when you bring on Barcola as well, it just gets it even more crazy late on in the game. That used to be Dembele's role, but those two do kind of swap around when it comes to that. And Dembele's had a troubling time at PSG for sure. He's been a bit hit and miss at times, and obviously controversies with him and the manager Luis Enrique. But, you know, fair play to him recently. 35 goals and 16 assists in 52 appearances this season. That is near as damn it a goal or assist, a goal contribution as it were, per game. Before this, the most he ever scored was 14 goals with Barcelona. So he's absolutely come on leaps and bounds under Enrique. And that, of course, has meant that a lot of people are calling for him to win the Ballon d'Or, and that's something that is hard to argue against at this point. But yeah, let's just touch on Real Madrid before we close out this video. Very harsh lesson, very much showing how much further they have got to go, how far they are behind the curve when it comes to the top of the table. They still have a long way to go to get back to winning a Champions League trophy. It's fair to say the experiment did not work when it came to the lineup. He used Federico Valverde at right back because Trent was out injured for this one. And couple that with Vinny Jr. and Mbappe not really tracking back, it was kind of over before it even began. Fran Garcia started at left back, he didn't really have much help there. And yeah, with that front trio, like I mentioned, it's going to cause problems. But yeah, incredible stuff from PSG. Really, really scary stuff. Their form right now is absolutely looking unstoppable. Like I said, and I'll reiterate what I said in my Champions League reaction video just after they won the UCL at the end of last season, or the end of this season technically, with it being still the Club World Cup time. You know what I mean? 2025 in Munich, that one. You know, I said that basically they are an absolute juggernaut right now. They have one of the richest owners in the world, if not the richest. They've got the state of Qatar. They have unlimited money. They have no competition domestically whatsoever. There's nobody really in League On that's ever going to challenge them. You know, they can just use their players. They can use their best players in the Champions League and rest effectively when they get to the knockout stages. They don't need to go all out in the league, and they can still win it. They can put out their youth side, their second string side, and still beat most teams in France. That's how good they are relatively. So we're entering a real scary era because, you know, you could say that, oh, maybe the likes of Liverpool, Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, these guys all one day could, of course, challenge them. But with the possible exception of Bayern Munich, there's not really another team, not really another super club that has no competition domestically. And I would argue that Bayern Munich do have competition domestically. They almost always win the Bundesliga, of course. They've won like 12 out of the last 13 or whatever it is right now. But the teams in Germany are actually decent. Dortmund can still give them a game on their day. Bayer Leverkusen, historically, of course, they did win the league a couple seasons ago, albeit with Xabi Alonso, who's left now, you know. So even they can't really properly rest their entire team before going into the Champions League. PSG can. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, PSG, we are entering the PSG era. This is just the start. This is just the start. But one last thing I want to call on, right? How disappointing is it in a sense? And I'm not insulting PSG here. I am not criticising them at all, right? But how disappointing is it that we're probably going to get the same team that wins the Champions League, that wins the Club World Cup? I think that's a bit tarnishing, really, for this competition, because it's like, well, the same team wins anyway. You know, I mean, yeah, we do get these games earlier on in the competition. I was actually more interested in them, you know, seeing the South Americans go up against the Asians and the South Americans against the European sides and stuff like that. You know, we don't see that anywhere else, and I think that's really cool. But, you know, we've not seen as much of that as the knockouts have progressed. Obviously, well done to teams like Fluminense who made it deep into the knockouts in this competition. But, you know, before a ball was even kicked, you could have told me that PSG were going to win this competition, and I'd have believed you. And there's not really that much jeopardy there. You know, they gave us a bit of a scare with Botafogo when they played them, but aside from that, they've absolutely waltzed it, man. So, yeah, your thoughts in the comments below are appreciated always, guys. I want to hear what you have to say about this. Is the Club World Cup, has it been impressive for you? Has it been a good spectacle? Have you enjoyed watching it? I'll admit, I've had it on in the background in the evenings. I've not really properly watched it. You know, it's not something that I'm that interested in personally. And I think that is probably echoed by a lot of fans, really. But one thing I will say, it's free to air. You know, I mean, we can talk about the controversy about it being on DAZN and the Saudi state backing it and all that stuff, right? That's a topic for another day. But just from an optics point of view, it's free football at least, which is something. So that's something. If you're looking to get your football fix in the summer, this is better than just an average friendly tournament. That is without a doubt. But yeah, your thoughts are appreciated in the comments below, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and have a fantastic day wherever in the world today. And we'll see you very soon.